tonight. Police are investigating after a physical incident between a fan leaving SaskTel Centre and two parking attendants in Saskatoon. Also, could your private doorbell camera help solve a crime? Saskatoon police are hoping to know more about people's security cameras in the event they need it. Plus, how climate change is impacting mountain snow and its trickle-down effect on the prairies.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, April 3rd, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for watching. Saskatoon police are investigating a physical confrontation between a hockey fan and two parking attendants outside SaskTel Centre. It happened yesterday after the Saskatoon Blades and Regina Pats playoff game, and it was captured on video. SaskTel Centre issued a statement today. It says it's aware of the, quote, unfortunate situation between a fan and members of our parking team, end quote. The video shows the driver of a pickup truck yelling at two parking attendants, then kicking one of them. Saskatoon police say they are aware of the video circulating on social media and have received reports of the incident. Police are investigating and no charges have been laid. A parking attendant who's worked at SaskTel Centre for 15 years says he wasn't there yesterday, but he saw the video.
Not surprised because it has happened, but at the same time, it also got me a little angry because it does happen. And we're out there trying to make sure that you guys get to the event safely and you get home safely. I've had to jump out of the way of vehicles to get out of the way from being run over. I have been hit in the past by vehicles. We've had people get pissed off and they run through the barricades, run through cones because they don't like the way we're doing things, or they think that they know a better way of driving. We've been yelled at. This video shows that we have been times there has been physical altercations as well, and it's not. Does it happen every event? No, but does it happen? Yes.
SaskTel Centre's statement also says, quote, the safety and well-being of our employees is our top priority, and we want to assure everyone that we are taking this situation very seriously and do not tolerate such behavior. Now, as for the hockey series, the Regina Pats won both games and won Game 2. They are back in Regina hosting the Blades tomorrow night for Game 3, and Game 4 is Wednesday night at the Brand Centre. Saskatoon police say private security cameras could help them solve crime. The cameras are becoming more common. People mount them outside their business, their house, even inside a doorbell. As Dan Zakreski reports, the police want to know where all those cameras are located.
Saskatoon police released this video last month, 5 days after finding a man's body in this dumpster on 17th Street West. Investigators think the footage may show how the body got there. They hope someone out there will recognize the three people in the video. Typically, police will go door knocking in a neighborhood after there's been a serious crime. They're looking for security cameras. Now, these cameras could have evidence on them that could help crack a case. Now, they think they've got a better way of getting to that evidence.
It's 100% voluntary.
This is what Deputy Chief Mitch Zdebski is talking about. Police want to create a master list of security cameras around the city. This could save police both time and resources.
We might contact you and say, hey, there was a crime in your neighborhood. We understand you have a doorbell cam, and we'd like you to check it. And if there's anything on there that could assist us, we'd love for you to consent to turn that over. But a person is not obligated to do so. Virgil Reed has installed security systems in Saskatoon for 3 decades. He says advances in technology are making them cheaper and easier to install. Reed understands why the police want to make a master list. He estimates 85% of businesses in the city have cameras, and 1 in 4 homes.
With the amount of cameras in Saskatoon, it's just going to be more helpful, and I would endorse the program. I believe in it.
There have been no arrests in connection with this suspicious death, but 6,000 people have watched this video. Police are still hoping one of the viewers will recognize the suspects. Dan Zakreski, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The opposition NDP are calling out the government over ambulance shortages again. It says people who needed an ambulance couldn't get one more than 200 times in the first 6 weeks of this year. Today, the NDP presented a Freedom of Information request in question period. The data revealed there were 216 occasions in which an SHA ambulance was not available to respond to a call for service. The NDP says the number could be even higher because places that use private ambulances, such as the city of Saskatoon, were not included. The shortages were found in 40 different communities.
No, the number, that's not acceptable. We obviously want to make sure that, as I said earlier, that everyone who is in need of an ambulance, is calling for an ambulance, is able to have that service available to them.
We've heard this government, try to argue that their investments are making a difference when we see that these numbers show the exact opposite, that we need full-scale ambulance reform in this province, that these actions are only Band-Aid solutions.
The opposition is calling for more transparency from the government about ambulance availability so the public can know whether help will be on the way if they call 911. University of Saskatchewan researchers are worried deer in the south will spread chronic wasting disease into woodland caribou range in the north. If the disease takes hold in the caribou population, one professor says it would be a national emergency. This morning, the U of S announced $90,000 in new funding from the provincial government to track the spread. Professor Phil McLaughlin says climate change is causing deer in southern Saskatchewan to expand their range northward. His research team is developing a detailed transmission map using radio collars and cameras. The hope is this money will help provide a much better picture of the situation in the north.
We know that there are some hot spots in the region around mule deer populations, white-tailed deer populations, wild elk in places. So in the north, we still have very little understanding of the transmission probability into caribou and moose populations.
Chronic wasting disease has already been confirmed in some deer north of Prince Albert and in an area where caribou live. Woodland caribou are considered species at risk. There are more women working in Saskatchewan today than there were just a few years ago. And while the numbers appear positive, some are calling into question the quality of these jobs and how much they pay. Daniela Ponticelli reports.
Dina Lobo runs a business from her home in Regina. It's one of the changes she's made since the onset of the pandemic.
Because I was a customer-facing role in my previous job, I would always feel the overwhelm, the anxiety, and I also was about 7 months pregnant then. So it was all about how can I stay safe and protect my baby. Big, three, big.
Lobo's new career in trauma support and life coaching allows time with family, a balance that has helped her thrive with returning to work. More women worked in Saskatchewan in 2022 than pre-pandemic 2019. According to Stats Canada, an estimated 272,000 girls and women aged 15 and older had jobs last year. That's an increase of 2.5%. One labor union leader says while women are indeed working, the reality is more complex.
I'm a little concerned about the numbers in the sense that I think a lot of women are still working part-time jobs. And perhaps they're working more than one job.
Lori Job says women are overrepresented in lower wage jobs, such as the service industry. She says Saskatchewan's minimum wage, the lowest in Canada at $13, is too low for individuals and families to thrive. The province says the average hourly wage for women rose to just over $28 in 2022. It also states the number of women working multiple jobs has gone down over the past 3 years, and that a record number of women are now working full-time with 30 hours or more a week.
My initial thought was that a lot of women had exited the workforce because of COVID. And for me, it was great to see women are coming back. I think that was like my initial reaction was like, great, women are coming back now.
Erica Carlton's academic research focuses on women getting into and retaining leadership positions. She says time will tell what impact, if any, the pandemic has on women's job advancement and, in turn, their potential to earn more.
Women taking time out of their careers and then coming back, it's putting them back in their careers as well.
Opposition leader Carla Beck says women were disproportionately affected by the pandemic, but adds there is now opportunity in Saskatchewan. One barrier is a mismatch in where people are looking for work and where higher income jobs are.
We have to be building those solutions, not just for today, but looking at where the trends are, where we're going to need workers, where we're going to need people to move to this province.
The provincial government wants to create 100,000 more jobs and grow the population by 2030. It says it has job search programs and other services that will help get even more women working. Daniela Ponticelli, CBC News, Regina.
CBC News is investigating a major data exposure at Manulife's Canadian banking division. An insider says for years, a massive internal database containing highly private information of customers had few privacy protections in place. He also says the executives downplayed the urgency to fix the problem. Erica Johnson has this Go Public investigation.
He's speaking out, he says, because Manulife Bank customers need to know.
It's honestly terrifying.
For almost a decade, he says, Manulife Bank of Canada didn't properly protect millions of pieces of customer information stored in a database employees nicknamed Data Barn. Things like customer names, addresses, credit card numbers, and social insurance numbers. Personal data, the insider says, could have ended up in the wrong hands. Someone else is reading his words.
They could use it to steal your identity. They could open up a line of credit in your name, get credit cards in your name, sell the information to someone else, and there's no way to ever know if it happened.
As concern over Data Barn started to bubble up in 2020, almost a decade after the database was created, the company began an internal review. It led to this report. Some key findings. Credit card numbers were discovered unmasked, so employees who shouldn't see all 16 numbers could. Employees were sending unencrypted emails containing customers' private information. There was no way to track how data was being handled. Customer info was being stored on laptops.
A company that has been entrusted with caring for that information on behalf of Canadians really should be taking these matters very, very seriously.
The insider was part of a group that sought solutions, but he says upper management didn't think fixing Data Barn was urgent.
We should not be waiting for there to be a data breach before there's action.
A spokesperson for Manulife declined our interview request. In a written statement, Manulife said action was taken immediately after concerns were first raised to confirm the safety of customer information and restrict internal access. The company says the database meets or exceeds regulatory requirements for privacy. Manulife also said there was never any evidence customer data was misused. The company did not provide a clear answer when asked how a lack of evidence meant it could be sure no harm occurred. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Ready?
They say that music is sometimes the only medicine the heart and soul need, and a new choir in Saskatoon is counting on that. Sherbrooke Brook Community Centre, a long-term care home, has partnered with Evan Hardy Collegiate's choir program and singers from the University of Saskatchewan to create an intergenerational choir. It's led by Jennifer Lang, who conducts the university's Greystone Singers. People of all ages and abilities gather in the chapel to sing and in turn witness the powerful impact of music. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. This year meant a lot of snow for many areas in Western Canada and for those in California as well. Snow seasons do change quite a bit year to year, but we're seeing trends in mountain snow due to climate change. Meteorologist Christy Kleimenhagen now with 5 things we need to know about mountain snow and the impact it can have here on the prairies.
Canada's snow-capped Rocky Mountains are a national landmark, but that picturesque scene is changing. Here's 5 things you should know about that snow. When we look at the snowpack, we're talking about how much snow stays on the mountains year to year. Climate change won't mean we have a snow drought every year. It's a little more complicated than that. The 2022-2023 winter saw record snowfalls in California, burying communities and ski hills alike. BC also had a healthy dose of snow, with most mountain areas at or near normal. So there will be outliers, but we do see a pattern emerging. You can't always measure the depth of snowpack at every elevation at all times, but we do keep track of them at certain sites, and there are trends that we're seeing so far. In parts of the Canadian Rockies, for instance, we're already seeing less snow in some valley bottoms, and scientists predict that trend to continue with no snow some years. But thanks to our colder climate, snow cover on the higher peaks has stayed relatively stable. The same can't be said for slopes in warmer areas like the US and Europe, where they're already seeing higher elevation changes. Milder falls and earlier springs that bring on a fast melt are shortening snowy seasons around the world, and scientists say that trend will continue. Here in the Canadian Rockies, the season is already 4 to 6 weeks shorter than it was 50 years ago. And as the warming continues, we'll see seasons continue to shrink. All that melting will also have an impact on our rivers. While right now we typically see peak flows in June, a warmer climate in earlier spring could bring that peak up to late April or early May. So we'll see bigger, faster rivers earlier in the season and periodic high flows from more extreme rainfall and thunderstorms. Though we'll see more water earlier, there will actually be less water later in the season, which impacts irrigation and agriculture while putting us more at risk for wildfires. Right now, when the weather heats up, our mountain snow and glaciers can sustain the rivers that they feed. Without our low elevation snowpacks and glaciers acting as that reservoir of water, we can expect lower late summer stream flows in our drought years. Our changing climate will have a big impact on our Rocky Mountains, both in how long the snow stays and where we see it. And we'll see those impacts trickle down every glacier-fed river, causing unpredictability that we will need to be prepared for.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Super Sierra and SUV sale is on now.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now, back from vacation. Mountain snow to prairie snow. I know we do need the moisture, but does it have to fall as snow?
Yeah, those colder temperatures, I'm bringing them back from my week off, unfortunately. And yes, we unfortunately are going to be seeing, I think, that snow and the colder weather as a continuing theme over this next little while. This system that moved through yesterday actually did bring through a few centimeters to some places in the province, about 2 to 2.5 around Clavet and Strasbourg. Regina, we picked up in a 24-hour span, kind of in that 3 to 5 centimeter range, and then higher amounts as you moved eastward through the province, and especially in that snowfall warning area where Merrifield was, we saw amounts close to 10 centimeters, and it's possible that there were amounts even a little bit higher than that in some spots. And in its wake, we are left with that very cold air still, except for western sections of northern Saskatchewan. Buffalo Narrows actually our warm spot today, getting above freezing for a period of time. But our cold spot in southern Saskatchewan at this hour anyway is Melfort, which is sitting in the minus teens at this point. And that's where a lot of the south and central part of the province are going to be sitting right now, except for the Meadow Lake area, getting a bit of that warmer air. Now, a part of the reason why we are still so cold has to do with our upper atmosphere pattern. And you can see this big trough pulling down the Arctic air. And as we move through the week here, you're going to see that this is actually going to trigger off a pretty large Colorado low that's going to be moving through the United States, bringing some severe weather to portions of that country and some snow to us in Canada. But as that system begins to move out of the way, we actually start to see a bit of a change, and we'll see some ridging moving in, some warmer temperatures starting to move our way, and some high pressure building in some warmer temperatures. But in the meantime, there is high pressure. It is over northern Manitoba, and that is keeping us cold. But that's actually a good thing because it is keeping that Colorado low at bay. So as that begins to move northward through the night tonight, there's a good chance that it won't impact us here in Saskatchewan. We're just going to see some cloud cover overnight in the south, maybe a few lingering flurries, clearing conditions as you go north from there, maybe some flurries possible in the Churchill region in the far north. And as we get through tomorrow afternoon, that system really only affecting Manitoba. But for us, maybe some lingering cloud cover in southern Saskatchewan, clear elsewhere, and then another area of high pressure takes over as we head into Wednesday, and that'll really clear us out, bring us some sunny skies. You see these black lines here, though. That is a little bit of wind that we could see from that Colorado low moving through. Not so much tomorrow afternoon, probably looking for gusts upward of 20-25 kilometers an hour. But as we start to head through Wednesday, you can see that system really taking over in Manitoba, and there could be some gusts close to 50 kilometers an hour in southeastern sections. And with a little bit of wind tonight, we could see wind chills close to -30, especially in the northern grain belt. And temperatures tomorrow morning will still be quite chilly into the -20s, especially in portions of southern Saskatchewan. But the warm-up is coming. As you'll see here on our 7-day forecast in Regina, it takes a few days here. We will still see some pretty chilly overnight lows, breezy again on Wednesday, but getting progressively clearer and warmer. Temperatures even getting close to double digits above freezing. Saskatoon, I think you could see a similar warm-up as well. Not quite as cold over these next few days, and then a little bit of flurries possible on Friday before we get into the plus temperatures. This possibly a bit of an overshoot, though, Sam. We still have a lot of that snow on the ground. It's making things a little bit colder, but hey, we can hope. This is quite nice.
I was just going to say, it looks like the Easter Bunny is going to bring us normal temperatures this year on that Sunday, and you know what? I'm going to hope. I'm going to send the good Easter Bunny juju.
Okay. I'm the alter Easter Bunny, I guess.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
A museum in Athens has gone to the dogs. The original idea to allow pet patrons was to promote adoptions from local shelters to mark World Stray Animal Day tomorrow. Pooches and their humans were free to wander about and view the works of their favorite artists. It's been such a success, the museum has adopted a pet-friendly policy permanently, which is very rare in Greece. We'll be back after the break. Former U.S. President Donald Trump arrived in New York today to face charges tied to payments made to an adult film star during his 2016 campaign. He will spend the night at his Trump Tower residence before turning himself into the authorities tomorrow. Security is tight around his New York home and at the Manhattan courthouse ahead of his appearance. The former president is facing multiple charges connected to a six-figure payment made to porn star Stormy Daniels in 2016, allegedly to keep her from speaking about an affair with Trump. Trump denies the affair and any wrongdoing. The 76-year-old is the first former or sitting U.S. president to be charged with a crime. And Ethan is back with one last look at your weather. I was going to make a joke about your weather being a crime in the snow.
Well, it might be a little bit of a crime if you're used to the cold, not used to the cold temperatures tomorrow morning. We're sitting at -11 with a -17 wind chill tomorrow. There is a chance that we could see some flurries in the morning in Regina before we get a little bit of clearing as we head into the afternoon. The noon hour sitting at -8. Again, mostly cloudy skies. Might get a little bit clearer than that as we head through the afternoon, but winds should remain fairly light. For Saskatoon, I think a little bit more sunshine around -15 tomorrow morning. Wind chill still pretty chilly at -20 as we wake up, and then we will keep that sun and cloud around as we head through the afternoon. Probably a little bit more sunshine than Regina and your southern counterparts, sitting around -10. Now, of course, it's the time of year for birds to be making their migration back, but this boreal chickadee calls Saskatchewan home, and CJ grabbed a shot of this one near Elkridge. I think a lot of birds thinking twice about their flight plans back to Saskatchewan now, Sam.
You know what's on Saturday? I was thinking how lovely it was to hear the birds chirping. And
yes.
Suddenly they're quiet.
Yeah, pretty silent now.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Oh, and that is it from us tonight. For news anytime, you can always head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Ethan will be back with more local news and weather tonight at 11. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great night.